President Buhari reaffirms Nigeria's commitment to upholding, promoting, and protecting democratic values and principles at a virtual global summit convened by President Joe Biden of the United States. PDP's new National Working Committee formally takes over. There's a bucket full of to-do lists. Cost of party primaries and other issues came up as INEC faced the House Committee on Appropriations. Also on political update today, Action Democratic Party throws weight behind electronic transmission of results. We also have this and other issues on our lineup. I'm Fisayo Ogunfui. Welcome. President Muhammadu Buhari has reaffirmed Nigeria's enduring commitment to upholding, promoting, and protecting democratic values and principles. Addressing a virtual global summit on democracy convened by U.S. President Joe Biden, Nigeria's president said institutions that underpin a resilient democratic society will also be strengthened. He stated that since the outset of his administration, the focus has been to introduce mechanisms and the will to ensure free, fair, and credible elections, while key anti-corruption agencies have also been empowered and backed. Despite the nation's democratic achievements, the president noted that Nigeria still faces the challenges of insecurity, which poses a threat to democracy. He called on global partners to support Nigeria's efforts in tackling insecurity and terrorism. President Buhari also assured the world leaders of his commitment to putting in place necessary mechanisms to ensure that Nigeria records another peaceful transfer of power to an elected democratic government by ensuring free, fair, and transparent elections in 2023. The chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, in the course of the week said his commission did not come up with the cost of primaries by political parties. He stated this shortly after he met with the House Committee on Appropriations.
Rising from the closed-door meeting with members House Committee on Appropriations, the INEC boss ran into journalists who were anxious to extract information from him regarding electoral process as contained in the electoral bill currently awaiting presidential assent.
INEC did not come up with any cost for the conduct of primaries by political parties by direct method. We have had very good discussions with the Committee on Appropriations of the National Assembly pursuant to the resolution of the House.
But does INEC have the capacity to conduct direct primaries for all the political parties?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
On his part, Chairman House Committee on Appropriations says the meeting was to enable legislators take informed decisions on key issues.
One, his requirement for 2023 election. Secondly, on direct or indirect primaries. And on the direct or indirect primaries, in what we discussed with him, he specifically told us the role of INEC in direct or indirect primaries is just minimal.
The newly elected members of the National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party, led by former President of the Senate, Dr. Yochia Ayu, have been inaugurated with a charge to lead the party to reclaim power, especially at the center.
After the conclusion of what many described as successful conduct of the October 30 and 31 elective National Convention of the People's Democratic Party, it is now time for all the 21 newly elected members of the National Working Committee to formally take over the affairs of the party. And it began with the presentation of Certificate of Return to the new NWC members. Swearing in and administration of oath of office followed.
To the People's Democratic Party.
Chairman of the 2021 elective PDP National Convention Organizing Committee and Governor of Adamawa State, Amadou Fintiri, says the party has been returned to the people in every way.
We have the lens to gaze into the future by giving the party a 25-year-old Mohamed Suleiman as its national youth leader.
The new national chairman of the PDP, Senator Yocha Ayu, promised to give a new direction to the party, giving everyone a sense of belonging.
We are not unmindful of our missing steps and actions in the past, but we have learned our lessons, both in governance and in opposition. Today, we stand tall and with a firm resolve to rebuild our great party and rescue our nation.
High point of the inauguration ceremony was the official handing over of the instrument of office from the immediate past NWC leadership to the new national leadership of the PDP.
In one of its last assignments, the immediate past National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party earlier in the week affirmed the expulsion of 15 of its members in Kebbi State by the state chapter of the party.
A statement from the party's national secretariat names the 15 members to include Garba Abubakar Bese, Ibrahim Usman Manzo, Mohamed Rua RK, Musa Ibrahim Manzo, Umar Yakubu Kamba, and Abdul Malik Haliru Milton. The rest are Haruna Shayau, Isiaku Daudu, Saleh Gambo, Bello Muhammad Gumare, Junaidu Wasagu, Mohamed Idris Afan, Abubakar Kurunkudu, Haji Ayali, and Haruna Isa. The statement explains that the expulsion is sequel to the decision of the state chapter and ratification by the NWC in line with the provision of the PDP Constitution 2017 as amended. The People's Democratic Party, in another development, has extended the tenure of caretaker committees in wards, local governments and state chapters of the party in Anambra State. A statement from the National Secretariat of the party says the decision of the National Working Committee is in view of the urgent need to ensure proper structure in all organs of the party at all levels across the state.
In 3 weeks or so, 2023 will just be next year. Perhaps that explains the increase in the intra-party activities as stakeholders jostle for strategic positions or alignments within the party structure. Nasara Kogo, a constitutional lawyer and political analyst, joins us today on Political Update. Thank you for joining us.
I'm immensely grateful to be hosted by you.
A frenzy already beginning to grow in different political parties, as we are seeing from the ruling party, the chief opposition and other parties. Are the alignments already for 2023? Is it too early, or in some cases, at least in the latter case of the posters that we are seeing these days, some jostling for positions at the party level, some are already even announcing presidential candidature in 2020, for 2023?
No, I expected this realignment much more earlier than now, owing to the inconsistencies and so many problems with dealing the two major parties in the country. I expected all these kind of things going on now to have started middle of the year, so that they would be able before December to have thwart all those problems, to have stabilized their political parties, so that early into the new year 2022, they will securely face the humongous struggle for the 2023 elections.
But a lot of people are saying that should not disturb, especially at the state level, that should not disturb governance, especially at the state level.
It's not a question of disturbing governance. If you come under the premise of a political structure that do not have any manifesto or do not have anything to entrench, you will be looking for excuse. Fundamentally speaking, there is no reason why political activities should affect governance. Political activities are daily activities that go on. Either there is governance or not. Political parties are there, and especially now with the anticipated reforms we are expecting in the Electoral Act that will really cascade political activities down to the grassroots level. It is very important for political parties to think of entrenching presence at the ward level, at the local government level, at the whatever level of governance, that seemingly you don't see the existence of political parties beyond the two major political parties. So other political parties now should exploit this window to go and entrench their presence. INEC too should try to entrench its presence to the lowest level of the democratic constituencies, so that these all doing all these things will assist in having a smooth running of conduct of primary elections and ultimately the general elections.
I'm talking about INEC. The INEC chairman was there at the House of Assembly talking to the Committee on Appropriations. Of course, he declined one of the answers, the questions, just saying thank you. But there's an issue of course, the directing direct primaries. It says that the Commission will have little or no, role to play. But where do you lean to? People are saying, yes, direct primaries is where to go. Some are saying the sheer cost is going to weigh much on, the nation. But where do you lean to in all these, discussions and arguments?
Yes, hypocritically diversionary for anybody to be linking the issue of conduct of election to the cost. In the first place, the issue of the cost is only INEC has no business regarding the issue of the cost, because conduct is for the party primaries. It's essentially the business of the political parties. I see no reason why this matter should even be included in the electoral amendment, because if you now amend it and now include the costing, what happens with the galloping value of Naira? What happens by 2022, 2023? Who knows what the value of the currency will be? So by then you will now begin to be making elements and the DC. So you leave that one open. It is not the cost that will now organize for example, PDP, that smaller political parties, for example, will be looking for such a cost. The requirement should be there that political party activities should be entrenched down to the grassroots. This is in respect with the Section 14, subsection 1 of the Constitution that says democracy belongs to the people. If democracy really belongs to the people, and in tandem with Section 220 to 227, particularly 223 to 224 of the Constitution that talks about party mechanism of discipline, party mechanism of party rules, party mechanism of bringing about manifestos, ideals, and principles that will be able to sell your political parties in the minds of the citizenry for them to subscribe to your party as a party they will be interested to vote in. Then definitely you have to take it down to the citizenry, because democracy is all about the people. If you now continue with the indirect primaries, for example, definitely you have excluded the issue of people representation, because those people that you, in the name of whether you call them representatives, whether you call them delegates, or whatever name you call them, they do not have the legitimacy of direct people electing them to become their delegates. They are just handpicked by some powerful interests within the party structure, and then in that context you so sincerely speaking, if we want to do politics, we should respect the definition of politics: governance for the people, by the people, and in the interest of the people. And for yours to do that, since the people are visibly available, you should bankroll it to the people, so that people will have a sense of belonging, so that ultimately at the end of it they will say, yes, we know who are our political party leaders, because the political parties, yes, exactly.
Okay, so let's move on very quickly. There's an aspect of it, of course, is the issue of the umpire has been gradually introducing technology and more technology to ease the process and make it, easier for people, especially. But what we've seen, in the last one, we had some teething problems with the BVAS, the bimodal voters accreditation system. What are you expecting in 2022? We have Ekiti and Osun coming as a litmus test before we eventually move towards the general elections in 2023.
The fire brigade approach syndrome of Nigeria's way of doing things is the anathema to the success of conducting free and fair elections. In a situation whereby now you know that you are saddled with the mandate of conducting electronic elections, what is the reason why you cannot procure these equipments in advance? Go into the processes of training, retraining,
to be fair to them, they
and
did
the testing
and then but a smaller sample size in Isoko and the state, assembly election in Isoko, that was supposed to be the test before going to the big one in Anambra, before we now saw that number of systems that didn't quite work to the expected level.
That one is symbolic. I want INEC to go beyond that. I want the end objective of electronic elections to really be transcended in bringing out the machineries. For example, elections in most cases are being stolen, let me use the word stolen, are being stolen from the level of collation down to the level of announcements. Not all this at the level of polling, at the level of polling. Those are not the distance. If you want to conduct free and fair elections, for example, INEC will be able to do it at a very seriously, drastically reduced cost. For example, instead of the 500 billion, you can conduct successful and and well-acclaimed election with a minimum of 50 billion, for example. Simply
You have
when
done
it
the
comes
costing.
exactly, simply
I mean, you have done your own costing.
I have the idea that 50 billion can conduct successful election in Nigeria. You don't need the 500 billion they are talking about. It's simply because it has become tradition. You don't go into auditing whatever INEC brings about. You accept it, and they do whatever they do. At the end of it, there is no investigation regarding the spend cost of the money.
Let's move on very quickly from that. Still talking about electronic transmission, the Action Democratic Party has expressed support for the adoption of electronic transmission of results in the 2023 general elections, and will also support direct primary by political parties as proposed by the National Assembly in the Electoral Amendment Bill 2010. National Chairman of the party, Yabagi Sani, disclosed this at the inauguration of the 2022 National Convention of the party.
I do solemnly swear.
Inaugurating the 25-member 2022 National Convention Planning Committee of the Action Democratic Party, the national chairman Yabagi Sani argued that electronic transmission of poll results would guarantee free and fair election in the 2023 election. He urged Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, and other officials of the Commission to resist alleged attempt at blackmailing INEC to reject the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. He emphasized that unlike some other political parties, the ADP was not averse to the direct primary and electronic transmission of results, since the outcome of election will be a reflection of the wishes of the electorate.
We in the ADP regard the 2023 general elections as a watershed in the nation's political history, a turning point away from the decadence that has characterized all previous elections, because we can see the clamor of Nigerians from the east to the west, the north to the south, for a change.
The ADP national chairman disclosed that the conduct of the party's congresses and its national convention will be held through direct primary. The ADP chair believes that direct primary and electronic transmission of election results should be regarded as effective panacea to the crises that have plagued and retarded the conduct of free and fair elections in Nigeria.
All right, so the other parties, smaller parties, so to speak, also, towing your line. But we have two elections, off-cycle elections in 2022. What are your expectations, Ekiti, Oshun?
And the expectation is that we should replicate the experience of Anambra, but this time around, Anambra experience should be modified in such a way that the number one primary responsibility of the political parties, and indeed the responsibility of INEC as per provision of Section 153, is that education of the citizenry. Education of the citizenry is important so that we don't record the voter apathy in that respect. Security agencies, everybody should put a stake in the conduct of the elections so that we see a rank-free elections. And then politicians will emulate the participants of a number of elections in such a way that you don't have so much post-election squabbles, in such a way that we'd have very little apprehensions regarding the quality of the result and whosoever is it. So I believe once we do that one, it will be a rehearsing important point towards 2023 elections, and by that you should be expecting closer to perfection in respect of the INEC's performance.
But in terms of conduct of at the beginning of the program, we were talking about President Buhari assuring global leaders of Nigeria's commitment to democratic practices. But in terms of politicians themselves, coming down. Not just Mr. President, who has showed exemplary behaviors in terms of his body language. In terms of politicians themselves, where is the place of ideology? We are seeing cross-carpeting almost like a market square in some areas, in some states and all that. Where is the place of ideology? Does it not confuse the followers, for instance, when the logos change almost like the monthly calendar?
Apart from the change of the logos, you discover that the politicians are jumping from one political train or the other by the day. And you discover that the issue of ideology has been jettisoned right from the onset of the decision. For example, take the ruling party. It was just an amalgam of political associations that came essentially with the interest of chasing Mr. Somebody out of power. And they did not take time to germinate and understand themselves fully. They went into it, and at the end of it, some people feel shortchanged and sidelined, and then leave the party. And at the end, all these problems you are seeing, the problems of bickering, the problems of apprehensions from here and here and here, is essentially because the political parties did not even do what fundamentally political parties should do. For example, a political party is expected to have a standing board of trustees. Board of trustees should be the one that should be able to be transcending discipline, should be transcending maturity, should be able to tell the leaders, for example, at the presidential, at the governor level, at whatever level, that you are toying contrary to the established principles, our accord with the people of Nigeria. This is what we said we do, but you are not doing contrary. It is the responsibility of the board of trustees to be settling squabbles. It is the responsibility of the board of trustees to be entrenching party discipline, party decorum, party manifesto, and the rest. But essentially what is going on now, some people ascribe to themselves the name of party leaders, which is not there in any of the constitutions, whether that of the political party or of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So political parties essentially in Nigeria are being seen as vehicles that will take you to elective office without really coming to understand that the number one thing a political party should be seen is the issue of having robust manifestos, robust entrenchment in your document, the interests and aspirations. What is your symbiotic accord with the Nigerian people that will warrant the Nigerian people to say, yes, let us have stake in this political party? Essentially, it's because we decided to copy the Western superpowers, capitalist type of political system whereby it is being seen as investment rather than seeing political parties as parties that should come in the service of the people. So you will discover that the interest is there so much so that even at the level of party primaries, they will be putting humongous sums of millions that you must pay for you to even aspire within the level of the party, which is wrong. Somebody that should come to serve the interest for the party should look in that person is his competence, his track of record, his ability to really evolve visionary ideological points that will really entrench values in the political parties. But in Nigeria, it is not so. It is how much money can you bring out, how much can you spend, how much money do you have to ideally to organize political activities that will bring you into power. The party will just be by the side. And that is the reason why at the end of it, eventually, when somebody who emerged as a president or governor or whatever, you will see even the leaders of the political parties toying, following, begging this type of person that for political appointment, whether as a minister at the federal level or commissioner at the state level. And you will see at the end of it, any decision that will be taken, the party will be jettisoned. That somebody will now be the one to be dictating the affairs of the party, which is really bringing serious deficiency, derogation regarding the hegemony of political parties as veritable vehicles that will entrench governance in Nigeria's political setting.
I'm almost scared to ask you another question because of the time, but just as we close, we just have a few more weeks before we enter, 2022. Your very short words concerning, political climate and how political leaders should go about it, especially in terms of rhetoric.
All the political parties need to seriously be technically panel beated. All the political parties will be panel beated. You should entrench robust, very serious, and incontrovertible register of members. From the ward level, from the local government level, up, you should be able to have it. You should bankroll the political activities down to the grassroots. You should not take politics as a matter of who gains what or as a matter of investment. Service should be the principles behind every politician, and especially the political party.
Many thanks, and rightly put, Minasra Kugo, constitutional lawyer and a political analyst today, and for you for joining us on Political Update today. Don't forget, we'll be back on Tuesday. We'll be looking at prospects for 2023. We're looking at political alignments and, the countdown. My name is Fisal Gunfuyi. Thanking you for staying tuned. All the best. Enjoy the rest of your week. Keep on watching the Nigerian Television Authority for news, views, reviews, and interviews, and play your politics for the greater good. Bye-bye now.